Welcome back to another video here on the Washington Football Maniacs channel. I'm Greg Sykes along with my good buddy Brandon Scott. We are bringing you more content about the Washington Commanders and especially what's coming up this Sunday, which is a big matchup. It's an NFC rival, NFC East rival, I should say, against those Philadelphia Eagles, those dirty birds, man. I'll tell you what, we're going to be going up to the link to see if we can try to do what we did against them last year, which was to make them undefeated no longer. Now, last year, it was a little bit more of a longer undefeated streak. This year, they're 3-0, but we're who knows? Who knows? So in today's game, or I should say in today's video, we're going to be talking about the game and the three keys to victory. And Brandon, we're gonna see if these three keys come to fruition. Hopefully, so three keys to the victory for the Washington Commanders over those Philadelphia Eagles. What you got for me, Brandon?
Number one, contain Jalen Hurts. Josh Allen, obviously, he went through his progressions, but when he could not find his target, he got on his wheels and he did whatever he wanted on the ground with his defense, man. Jalen Hurts is a guy who's going to run first. He's definitely improved his passing. His receiving core is much improved with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, but in Dallas Goedert, I mean, in names, Swift is going to be a weapon, but force him to throw the ball. Now, he can make the throws, but he's a run-first guy. Put pressure on him, contain him. Number two, Eric Bieniemy has to be more consistent. Let this game be the standard. You can't have one good game, one bad game. We'll play calling, man, to really utilize this core group of what we have in offense. He has to be consistent. More screens. Definitely utilize the run game more, which leads into number three, run the ball. EB, run the ball. Let the running the ball set up the pass. Kind of like in basketball, I use this reference all the time, where driving the paint leads to outside shooters. Let one aspect of the game leads to the other. The NFL is built on the run game, man. I know that they're trying to create it into a pass league, and it's cool sometimes, but this is still football. You need to run the ball, control the clock, and let it lead to the pass. So I believe with those three keys of victory, it is going to be a test, man. In Philly against the Eagles. Eagles are already looking like they're in midseason form, but they said the same thing last year. So, like you said, we put an end to that streak. So, any given Sunday, I believe with those three keys of victory, if they attain those, we should get a W on Sunday.
I agree with you. I definitely would say take the ball out of Sam Howell's hands. Yes, you want him to redeem himself, but you don't want to put the game on his shoulders, especially after the game that he had last week. Yeah. You want to give. I mean, it's not going to be an easy game already. We already know this. So you want to make it as easy as possible. So how do you do that? Just like what you said, Brandon, you run the rock. You run the darn football, right? You put the football in the hands of Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson, if he can keep it in his hands. I want to see Chris Rodriguez. Happy birthday to him, by the way. I want to see Chris Rodriguez. I want to see more of the running game. I want to see those screens because I think that was the biggest thing that really was the bread and butter in Kansas City. I think it can be the bread and butter here in Washington. So let's see some more of those screens. Let's use the the penetration and all of that from that Philly defense against them. Let's get that ball out on the flats there and let those screen passes take over. So I agree with you and put a spy on Jalen Hurts.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I that's one thing. We talked about such great halftime adjustments that Washington did in that Denver game. There are no halftime adjustments that I really saw in the Bills game, and I think one thing that I would have liked to have seen was putting a spy on Josh Allen, put a spy on Jalen Hurts to begin with, and keep him contained, force him to beat you with throwing the pass because Now, yeah, our secondary is going to get burnt, but I have a lot more confidence in this year's secondary than I have had in recent years. And so I think that they can take care of themselves. Um, I just, I don't want Philly to get into those third and shorts because we know what's going to happen. That little, what do you call it? The I call it the rugby play
Yeah.
that everybody's been screaming about that should be illegal. I'm not going to get into that. They're making it work. I don't know why nobody else is trying it, or maybe no one else is having the success that Philly is having. I mean, God bless Philly for making it work. If you don't want them to do it, stop it. I mean, that's what I'll say about that. So, but don't allow them to get into third and shorts or fourth and shorts because they're
Yeah.
going to go for it every single time. Force them to get behind the sticks, and I think if you can put them in situations like that, you have a shot.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I thought Buffalo was a winnable game. Now, obviously, it was definitely a humbling experience, but
Mhm.
any given Sunday, they said the same thing last year. They were undefeated. They said we had not a lick of a chance going into Philly on Monday night, and then boom. Especially if you look at our record with primetime games, man. In the past, especially Monday nighters in Philly, Lord, because we know the last time, the Monday night it was just it was a massacre with Michael Vick and company.
Mm.
But new era, man, new team. I think that we definitely have a chance. We definitely got a chance because if you look at the home field advantage, I mean, every time we play Philly at home, it's mostly Philly games. So I mean, they're used to the
That's right.
environment. So I think it's a winnable game. I think this D line can get back on track. We're putting pressure on him. Force him. Here's the thing: if you dictate his movement, then that's how you beat the Eagles, man. We did it last year, and how do we do it? We dictated his movement and we ran the ball. We controlled the clock. That game last year, and I think the game where we beat Tom Brady, beat the Bucks, where we controlled the ball the whole fourth quarter, were two of the best examples of running the ball that I've seen from this team within the last 2 to 3 years. I mean, running the ball, you control the clock, you control the tempo, you control the game. So I think we have a chance. I really do. Hopefully they make adjustments. You throw 4 interceptions, man. I mean, you would think that you're going to change something, but Sam Howell. This is another thing I want to kind of stress to people is that Sam Howell, this is practically his rookie year. Last year he played one game, and yeah, he beat the Cowboys. The Cowboys didn't play 100%. So he's still practically a rookie. He's going to have these games. He hasn't learned to throw the
Yep.
ball away yet. He's still trying to force plays. His release has to get quicker. He has to get through progressions faster, but he still has the central pieces part of his game that makes a really good quarterback. I won't say great yet because look, he's got to do something to be great. But he definitely, I mean, he can run, he can throw with accuracy, he can throw with power. He runs with vision. He's a good quarterback. It's just learning these little parts of the game, like throwing the ball away. RG3, man, with all the talent he had in the world, could not learn how to slide.
Yeah.
And look what he did his career. He never learned how to be a pocket guy. And he could have been a really special quarterback. It's these little small parts of your game that kind of make you good to great. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
with Sam Howell, it's just those veteran instincts, throwing the ball away, not forcing it in. If you look at the picks, you can argue almost every pick he threw last week were preventable because he was just
Hmm.
trying to do too much. And
Right.
I believe that one of the rules that we had in the game, one of the 3 keys of victory were Sam Howell not doing too much. Rely on your weapons. He has weapons. Terry McLaurin is a weapon that look the league knows about him now. He's not secret anymore. Terry McLaurin is a top 10 receiver in this league. Curtis Samuel has really stepped up this year. Jahan Dotson, we could kind of throw that as a key a little bit too. Get him more involved.
Yep.
You got to utilize Jahan Dotson, man. He is very talented receiver. So, with all the weapons, there are question marks. And I know we're going to talk about a possible addition next, but the run game, Antonio Gibson, Greg, I don't know where to go from here. I don't know where he fits anymore. And like we were talking about before the show, man, 8 fumbles since 2000. I believe it was 2021 or something. I gotta find it again, man. But he's got a fumbling issue, and it's not just you fumbling the ball. You're fumbling the ball in your red zone, man. Like these are costly turnovers. And as a running back, that's the meat and potatoes of your job. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like a UPS guy forgetting your package every day. That's the whole point of your job, man. So, yeah, we have some holes to fill, but I think that we have enough to where we can have a good year still. Now, it's not time to panic yet, in my opinion. So, yeah, again, if we do these 3 keys of victory, I think we have a good chance to give Philly their first loss of the year.
So the bottom line, Brandon, what are you going to predict for Sunday?
Oh man, oh man, I hate to be honest. As much as I want a victory, I was very, very optimistic with the Buffalo Bills game. I'm going to say it's going to be a close loss. I think, Lincoln Financial, Philadelphia, I think the Buffalo Bills showed one thing with this team, man, is that we're a very good team. We're not great. The Buffalo Bills, the Philadelphia Eagles, the San Francisco 49ers, these are great teams. These are teams that are built to last in the playoffs. We're not there yet. 2-0. We were getting happy. We were getting optimistic. In Buffalo Bills, they kind of brought us down to earth a little bit. Philadelphia's, all roads go through Philly in the NFC East and then in the NFC. So I'm going to say it's a loss. It's going to be 35-21. I say
Wow.
close, but it's not close.
It's
I'm gonna
not
say
close.
I'm gonna say 35-21, man, because Jalen Hurts he's magic on his legs, man, and he's got so many weapons to check down on him, man. I mean, Swift looks good this year, and AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. So I'm hoping I'm wrong, man. I'm hoping we pull that out. But Philadelphia, that's a tough matchup in Philly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm picking Philly as well. I'm going to be a little bit more optimistic and say it's going to be probably like 24-17. I just think that there's going to be a little bit more sense of urgency with the Commanders. They're going to come out and because they don't want to be embarrassed like they were last week. The thing that you don't want to do is come out and have the same showing uh, like you did. You don't want to do that 2 times in a row. So they're going to come out with a sense of urgency. They're going to want to correct everything that they did wrong last week. And I think that they're going to play a lot better. I think they're going to play harder. And I think they're going to keep the game close for much of it. I think Philly's going to probably take the advantage in the fourth quarter. It's probably going to come down to a couple of plays here and there, maybe a turnover here and there that really decides it. Um, I don't know if Philly will hang 35 on us. They definitely could. Um, I think our defense is going to at least keep them in the 20s, but I could be wrong. Uh, I'm going to stick with 24-17, but I think it is going to be Philly. Now, switching gears because you kind of mentioned it. Um, there's been some talk. There was talk before the season started, but it seems like the talk keeps ramping up. And excuse me, I've been sick this week, so if I start to sound like Kermit the Frog, and I know some of you folks would be like, you always sound like Kermit the Frog, so what does it matter? Anyway, um, Jonathan Taylor. There's some rumblings out there, rumors, whatever you want to call it, that the Commanders are interested in Taylor. Now, you can probably put the Commanders in anyone like anytime the big name is out there, it seems like Washington is always in it. So we don't know. Is it Brandon? Is it that to where anytime you see these big name star players that are looking for a new home, that it's just it's default that Washington's going to be amongst one of those, or is there actually some fire behind the smoke?
I think it's a little bit of both. If you look at the situation in the franchise, new ownership, ownership has new expectations. It was said that prospective buyers wanted Sean Payton as a head coach in DC as one of the consistencies for them accepting ownership. So they're aiming high, because the thing is, this is probably one of the most storied franchises, if not the NFL in sports, man. So, to come in after 20 plus years of Dan Snyder, an owner wants to come in and solidify himself because they're trying to get him back to, that level. People forget we were on that level for a long time. the Yankees level. Yeah, that's how powerful this franchise was. So I definitely think it's something they need to look at. Or not, I'm not gonna say need. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna give my opinion yet, but there's definitely some smoke to the fire, man. Because if you look at, I'm looking at CBS Fantasy, they just put out an article, and there's a lot of articles right now about prospective places for Jonathan Taylor, and obviously number one is Miami. Miami, they're running back proven. Arcane, man. I think they're good on running back, but the two names on here is the Commanders and the Chicago Bears, and you can argue both teams could they use a lead back? Now, I mean, Jonathan Taylor, here's my thing with him, man. He's hurt a lot. He's had injury issues the last couple of years, but he is definitely a tier above. Now, nothing against Brian Robinson. I believe Brian Robinson is fine as the lead back. He's proven that. He's proven he can play that role and do it well. So, is there necessarily a need? No, but Jonathan Taylor, he's another tier above him, man. I mean, he's a guy who can definitely play some football. I mean, you can put him down for 300 plus carries a year. I mean, he can catch. He's tough between the tackles. I mean, he would definitely add an extra flair to this offense. Let me tell you. But my and really a part of me wants to say yes, go grab him. But my biggest thing is this. With this O line, what are we doing? I mean, if the O line can't protect us now, why put Jonathan Taylor back there just to get hit? I mean, it's like putting a radio and tinted windows in a car on donuts. I mean, you can add all you want, but if you don't have the central part of the equation that you need, which is an O line who could protect, I just think we're wasting time. If we had an O line, absolutely go out there and get him. And like I said, I'm a big believer in Brian Robinson. Antonio Gibson, not so much. And then I'm still a fan of Antonio Gibson. I want him to succeed, but I think the sample size is big enough to say that look, his future at running back is in peril, if not with his organization in the league. He needs to evolve his game further for him to further his career in the NFL because lead back ain't it. Whether he go back to receiver, whether he wants to be kick returner, there's just ways to do that. But I'm looking at Devin Hester. If you look at Devin Hester in Chicago as a receiver, he was never really that guy at a receiver, but as a kick returner, Hall of Fame.
Hall
I
of
mean,
Fame, yeah.
so find him, I think kick return from what I saw could be his spot. So they could very well make a move. I mean, like I said, he's a marquee name that if you add him to this offense, this is a really, 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 really scary offense. But it comes down to the old line. You know, if you can't protect nobody, then you're just wasting your time. So I'm gonna say right now, for where we're at, it's a no for me. Just roll with what you got. Try to get this old line to gel, make the improvements to the old line, and then if it's still a move that you can ponder, then definitely explore that. But right now, I'm good. I think we're good where we're at.
Yeah, honestly, I think that if I'm going to trade anybody, let's say Antonio Gibson is trade bait for
Mhm.
somebody. Let's say let's say Chase Young is trade bait for
Oh,
somebody, because that seems like that always comes up in social media. Chase Young. Um, I would rather trade either one of those guys for top talent on the O line.
yeah,
It is not a very sexy trade at all, but I think we have enough at the skilled positions on offense that we don't need another skilled position in those places. I think we should develop what we already have.
yeah.
I want I want top tier talent on that offensive line. We got top tier talent on the defensive line. We got really good talent in the secondary. And I think our talent people just love my accent. Um, Sometimes I have a love hate relationship with it. I think our talent level at linebacker is starting to come around.
Yeah.
But on the offensive side and skill positions, I think we are very solid, very solid. And I'll even throw quarterback in there because I think we have something there still, regardless of what we saw last week.
Yeah, yeah.
So, having said all that, if we're going to trade any of our guys, any of the guys who could be trade bait, I want I want somebody on that offensive line. I don't want Jonathan Taylor. I'm sure that he could be higher tier than Brian Robinson, but I like what I see out of Brian Robinson. So I'm
Yeah.
good with that. I really am. I'm good with keeping Antonio Gibson and just, you know, letting Barber get with them and like this is what they did with me to solve the problem. Whatever it takes. Because that's all it is with Antonio Gibson. If he can stop fumbling, he could be one of the best players in the league. It is that narrow of a road, right? You know, you can either be the best or you can be out of the league. Sometimes it is just that little bit,
Yeah.
and I think you alluded to that as well. So, yeah, that's my thought with the whole Jonathan Taylor thing. So, I mean, folks, let us know in the comments what you think. Would you go after Jonathan Taylor? I wouldn't. Brandon wouldn't. Um, is there anybody else you would trade for? And if so, the names I mentioned, Antonio Gibson, Chase Young, would you use those guys as trade bait? Let us know in the comments what you think. So, Brandon, anything else you got going on tonight?
No, sir. Looking forward to Sunday. Let's watch the football. Let's get it. Or rather, the Thursday night football. So,
Wow, yes. Yes. I think eventually NFL football will become almost every night like NBA or baseball. You know, it's like I forget that it's on Thursday nights, honestly, unless our team is playing. You know, and it's weird. I can't seem to remember. But maybe I'll tune in, watch for a little bit. Well, folks, I think that is going to wrap up this edition of the Washington Football Maniacs. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a like. Give us a comment. Let us know how we did. Share it with your buddies. If you're enjoying the content on this channel, please, 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 please make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. You know, I was looking at the analytics, and there are more people who are not subscribed who are watching the videos, and those who are not watching the videos, well, let me make sure I put this right. The the ones who are watching the videos, most of them are not coming from the notifications. I think I said that right. I don't know. It's cold medicine starting to kick in. So, um, folks, just make sure you are notified that you're getting these videos. We don't always release them at the same time, so you got to watch out for us. We're stinky like that. Also, we have channel memberships. We just started, so check that out. It's $2.99 a month. I'm going to be releasing some members only videos at some point. Don't worry, they're not risque. You're not going to see me in bikini or anything like that. Hey, if that makes the channel, I'm willing to do anything twice. But anyway, it's nothing like that. It's nothing like that. But hopefully, we're going to have some good content for members only. We're going to try to do some live streams here at some point as well. So be looking out for that. Um, with that said, we're going to cut you loose, everybody. Hope you have a good night. And just remember, hell to the Washington Football Commanders and Maniacs. We're all maniacs. All right. Take care. Have a good night, folks.
see you guys.